Welcome to the Self-Reliant Living Show, where we talk all about a self-reliant lifestyle to save money, live greener, eat healthier, and be prepared for anything so you can take care of the ones you love in good times and bad. I'm your host, Jennifer Osich, a homeschooling mom of 3 boys. I'm the author of the Preparedness Planner series, and my husband and I are the lead teachers of Self-Reliant School, a website dedicated to giving you the skills and confidence to take care of yourself and your community. Be sure to stop by and pick up your free videos from inside Self-Reliant School that will get you started growing, cooking, and preserving your own food today. You can pick these up at selfreliantschool.com/free. Now, on with the show. Welcome to you, and we're just going to jump into it. I have my son here, my older son, Joshua, here to help me with some of the explanations of some of the things we're going to go over. He is well qualified. He is almost an Eagle Scout, so he has a lot of experience packing bags and camping and living kind of in the wilderness, albeit for a short time, but still has that experience. So he's going to be helping me. It also just happens to be fun for him in terms of he really gets into it, and we'll go into that in just a little bit too. But first of all, let me just start with talking about some of the current events. We have wildfires in the west. We have a hurricane that is currently heading towards Florida. We had one that just hit in Texas. That's where we are. We're not in that area, but we're in the state of Texas. So it even was felt all the way up here in terms of people being affected by the storm. And I'll get into that in just one second. Okay, so this is the reason that I thought that this was a timely topic. We are focused on self-reliance. We're focused on gardening, cooking, preserving food at this time, but we actually started off as a preparedness blog. So we have a mini blog post on the site about water storage, food storage, all of that kind of thing, and just what to do in case of an emergency. So we wanted to come on and share some of that information because those posts were a while ago, right? So we want to bring that up and make it all sort of fresh again and timely, I think, because of the season that we're in here with threatening things kind of all over in the U.S. at this time of the recording. Okay, so let me just talk about what's happened here in our state, in Texas. So we were hit in Houston with Hurricane Harvey, and there was a lot of destruction from the hurricane, but also from flooding. So we've had a lot of flooding in our the southern part of our state, not just Houston, but some outlying areas as well. Some people have had trouble getting water. There's been lines because the municipal water is polluted and you're not able to drink it. So water is a big issue. And then also, we're a little bit north of that. We're north of Dallas. We're in North Texas. We had a situation just right after the hurricane hit that we had a panic of sorts up here. And everybody was really scared because a lot of our gas supply comes from Houston. Everybody was scared that we would not only have higher gas prices, but that gas would run out. So everybody went to fill up, and so it caused kind of a panic. There wasn't ever a shortage of gasoline, but it was sort of a mock shortage because there was a disruption in the supply line because the trucks that were scheduled to deliver gas to certain gas stations, the gas stations ran out before their supplies could be replenished. So that caused a lot of gas stations to just simply run out of gas. And then if you could find gas, there were really long lines. And I know that this is happening now in Florida because people are trying to get out, they're trying to evacuate, all of that stuff. So I wanted to share a little bit about that, and then also to help people realize that even if you're not directly in a storm's path or a fire's path, you could be affected. So you could be affected indirectly like we were because we couldn't get gas. So it's really important that that you prepare for something like that. And the way that we prepare for something like that is, we make sure we have water. Not that those two things are directly related, but we have a food storage, because if you don't have gas, you can't get to the grocery store to buy your groceries. So we make sure we have that stored. If there was another scenario where it would take out the water supply, we're good there because we have a water supply. So it's just really important to have at least 3 days of a water supply and a food storage. It really should be more like 2 weeks, but I want everybody just to have that 3 days first and then move on to 2 weeks, 3 months, a year, that sort of thing. But if you don't have anything, I really would encourage you to at least start and build up to 3 days. Okay, so having gone into that sort of current events and what has happened to us here, and that we are very, very thankful that we were prepared for that, even though it wasn't very long. If we had been out of groceries, that could have been really, not a comfortable situation. Okay, also want to talk a little bit about wildfires, because there's wildfires in the West, and I know that brings down air quality, and I know that is really stressful for a lot of people who aren't really in the path of the fire, but are affected with all of the smoke and just the poor air quality. And then of course there are those that are in the path of the fire. So it is just, another thing that we're going to talk about in terms of preparing for that situation as well. Okay. So first of all, let's get into it. Let's talk about clean water. So first of all, I want to say, if you're watching this and you happen to not have any water at all, definitely go and get some bottled water. I'm not discouraging anybody from getting bottled water. If you don't have any, and you are in the path of a storm, or you need a food supply or water supply, definitely start with bottled water. So I'm not discouraging that. Just want to say that up front. However, I think that if you have a little bit more time and you are all of these sort of natural disasters has perked your attention in terms of I don't have water storage. Maybe I ought to think about that. So that's what we're kind of here for, in terms of giving you some options, and some better options than bottled water. Okay, so the first thing, I think Joshua has one of these, is a small personal water filter. And I think Bill also has some pictures. The one that he's showing now is a LifeStraw. And that is, it is something, it's what it sounds like. It's a straw. You put it in the water and you can just suck on it and get purified water, because it goes through the filter. You can see a close up there as well. So that is an option. It's very mobile. Joshua here has a different one. He has one that's made out of a metal instead of plastic, but you can see it. Bill will show that as a close-up there. Yeah, so you can see how that looks. Anyway, they're the same type of device where you would put it in water and then you would just suck on it like you would a regular straw. And you would get the purified water. So you would actually put it in the dirty water, and then the other end would come out filtered water. And then another option that is for a personal, like a backpack or something like that, would be a filtered water bottle, which I do not have a picture of, but Joshua also has. You can get it out in just a second. Yeah, we're going to get to that. But these two options are good if you need to put something like in a bag or a pack, or you have people who are older, a little bit more self-reliant in terms of they're not little children, because if a 5-year-old would have a really, really hard time getting the water out of here, sucking the water through, because it is a little bit of work to bring that water through the filter. And the same thing with a filtered water bottle. It's just a little bit of work. So it's a great option if you have mostly adults or teenagers in your family. However, if you have really small children, I wouldn't recommend this for them. Joshua has another option here too.
I also have some water purifying drops. They're kind of like water purifying tablets. So you would just put a few drops in some water, and it would help kill bacteria and viruses and nasty things like that.
Yeah, and this would be something that you might want to use if you knew for sure that the water that you were getting had E. coli or something like that in there. The LifeStraw is supposed to filter that out as well. You might use a combination. I know a lot of people do that. But like I said, this would not be something, if you have small children, this is not something I would recommend. There's another filter by LifeStraw, and it is mobile, but it's a little bulky. But we're going to take this out and show you exactly what this looks like and how it works really quick. This is called a Family LifeStraw, and this would work if you had children. It is mobile. It doesn't have any, electrical parts or anything like that. It's pretty light. It's made out of plastic. However, you can see from it right here, it's not the smallest thing ever, right? It's got a little bit of bulk to it, but it could be carried if you had to. The other thing that you would need for this is this hangs up, and you can hang it from, a tree or anything if you needed to outside, and then you filter the water, but you're going to need a bucket or a clean bucket for the water to go into. So even though this is a good choice if you have kids, you'd have to realize that it's not something that is, if you were hiking or something like that, it might not be the best choice. This would be a great thing to put in a car. And so it's, especially if you have young kids, because like I said, this is something that it uses gravity to filter the water, and you can definitely get water for small children and put it in that clean bucket that you would have to have. I don't have one here, but it would just be any kind of what you can buy the water carriers that are, they have a small opening where they're not going to be contaminated very easily, or it could just be a regular bucket. Just depends on what you have, but you do need something to catch the water in with this one. So this is one that I would recommend, like I said, that you could put in your car, and especially if you have young kids. You want to lay that maybe on the floor over there. Okay, so moving on. Another option is to store water if you are sheltering in place, especially. You could store water in, those big 50-gallon drums. You could do that. You could also use what's called a water brick. I think Bill has a picture on the screen. And these are more mobile than those big, huge drums of water. And they stack very nicely. They are made of plastic, but they are a thicker plastic than like a washed out milk jug. Those, I don't know if you've ever bought distilled water in them or something like that, but they do tend to leak over time. So that is not something that I would recommend you store water in for a long-term storage. Now, if you've got one day and you need to empty out all your containers and put water in them, certainly use what you have. But in terms of a longer term storage, I would not recommend those, because I have had them break and leak, and it's a flood that didn't need to be, right, because the container failed. So I would definitely get something that was designed to store water in. And like I said, those water bricks, even though they are heavy when they are full of water, they are mobile. You can take them, especially if you have a car or something like that. You can take them with you if you have something like that. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to share with you in terms of water storage and or safe drinking water is a Berkey filter. And that is something that we use every day. We have it already on our counter. We use it to filter just the water that comes out of our faucet because it doesn't taste very good. But the Berkey has so much more power than a regular filter. It will filter almost everything except viruses, because it's difficult to a virus is so small that it's difficult to filter those. As a matter of fact, water filters really don't. You'd have to have something like this to kill a virus. So that is something I really recommend, having a big water filter that probably you already use so that you already know how to do it. You're filling it regularly. It already has a place on your counter. So it wouldn't be a really big switch to just fill it with a different kind of water. Maybe if it's not coming out of your tap, you would get it from wherever you could get it, and then you could fill the Berkey and it would come out filtered. I think one of the best things to have is the water bricks and the Berkey. If you have had water in your water bricks for a really long time, you could definitely put them inside the Berkey, and then they would, you could go ahead and they would aerate that way, and then you could filter out any bacteria that had gotten in them or was in them to begin with, and that would be the best scenario. And then Bill has another picture up here. This is another option that you might consider. This is called a water bob, and what you do is you put it in your bathtub and then you fill it up. You have heard of people saying that if there's a storm or if there's some reason that the water is going to be turned off or not reliable, to go fill up the bathtub. Well, this is kind of the same idea, only this is protecting that water maybe from a dirty bathtub, and or where that if it sits for a while, it's still going to be usable, where it has a top on it. And you can see my little one here showing you how to get the water out of there. So that's another option, and those are pretty inexpensive. And you could have them one for every bathtub in your house, and that would definitely be something that would be worthwhile. The only thing is that they only have is their one-time uses, but if there's a problem, that would definitely be worth it. Okay, so if you go to the show notes, there will be links to all of these things. I think Bill is maybe putting some in the comments, or he will eventually. And I am going to monitor comments here because I have been monologuing. Hi, Constance. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Rachel. Okay, so, and if you are asking questions and I am not seeing them, please realize that I will go back and answer all the questions. Sometimes that I see them, sometimes I don't, and then Bill sometimes will shout them out.
Kathy is asking if the filters will filter bad stuff and leave in the good minerals.
No. With the Berkey, I'm assuming you're saying with the Berkey, no, it's going to filter everything out. And so, but it's not going to be distilled water. There will be some, there will be some things in there, but it won't filter out viruses. I'm not sure about which minerals. I know that it will filter out bacteria, it will filter out debris, it will filter out mud, that sort of thing.
It'll filter out salts.
It'll filter out salts as well. Yeah, so it's probably going to take most of it. It just depends on the structure of the mineral, and I will definitely check on that because I would be interested to know that as well. Okay, hi Vicki. Vicki is asking where she can get a Berkey, and Bill is going to put a link in the comments there to show her where my favorite place is to get one. Okay, so now we're going to get to Joshua's favorite subject, which is building a bug out bag. Okay, so the evacuation for the hurricanes and for wildfires is real. There are already traffic jams in Florida. I know that there have been in the West too. When the fire kicks up and is really, really out of control, there are evacuations there too. Sometimes people only have a couple of minutes to leave. It's just really heartbreaking, but we're here to talk about, okay, what is it that you need to take with you? Okay, so keep in mind that there's three things that you can't live without, right? Or the rule of threes, I should say, which is you can't go 3 weeks without food. So you've got a 3-week window there, 3 days without water, or 3 minutes without air. So you want to think of all of that depending on what your situation is. And then you want to start building a bag that, depending on where you're going, hopefully if you're evacuating, you have a place to go, either a shelter or a friend's house, family, that sort of thing. So a shelter might not be your first concern. If you don't have some place to go, then it would be. You'd have to consider that. So you would want shelter, water, or a way to purify water, you would want warmth, food, communication, and then you need to think about self-defense. So with that in mind, if you only had about 10 minutes, Joshua, what would you put in your bag? I think he's gonna lay some things out here and show us some things that he's put in his bag.
So the first thing that I'd put in my bag would be a change of clothes, change of pants, change of shirts, extra pair of shoes too, possibly if they get wet. So definitely a change of clothes. And then a source of light, so a flashlight.
I'm just gonna make it so this doesn't fall.
I have a really cool one here. It's both a flashlight and a lantern at the same time. So that one's pretty cool. And then another thing is bug repellent in case of mosquitoes or ticks or things like that. And then along with bug repellent, sunscreen is another thing. Prevent sunburn, stuff like that. And then duct tape is another good one. Duct tape can be used for a lot of things. You can't go wrong with duct tape. And then a snack or something to eat, something to keep you going while you're traveling. And then definitely a first aid kit for cuts, scrapes, or insect bites, insect stings, things like that. And then navigation is another thing you have to think about. So I have a compass here. You might want to take a map with you too. This is an orienteering compass, so it has a little extra stuff on it, but any compass is better than no compass.
Yeah, any compass. I have a compass. I wear a compass, so that's I wouldn't have to pack that.
And then a deck of cards, just in case you get bored or you're waiting somewhere and you have nothing to do. Then I have an emergency poncho, just in case it rains or snows or something like that. And then I have a fire kit. Fire is another thing you have to consider. Fire can be used for warmth. It can be used to cook food. And so I have flint and steel on here. I also have an Altoids tin, which has a fire kit inside of it. It's inside one of my paracord pouches. And so inside of it, I just have I have another thing of flint and steel and some strike anywhere matches to start fires. I also have for fire this really cool, if I can find it. If I can find it. Here it is. It's called a sparker. It's by Power Pack, and it's like a miniature. This one is in the style of a lighter, and what it does is it will send a current between here, and there'll be plasma going through here. So if I turn it on, you see that little purple in there, and that will light almost anything, any tinder, anything like that. So if it's windy and you can't really get matches lit, this might be a good idea. It also has a flashlight on the bottom, and it's USB rechargeable. And then I have a multi-tool with a knife, screwdrivers, and a can opener, because if you bring canned foods, you'll definitely need a way to open them. So a multi-tool is always good. Another thing is some form of rope. I like paracord. Rope, it's like duct tape. You can make a lot of things out of it. You can do a lot of things with it, and you can't go wrong with it. And then I also have another source of light. This is a miniature pop-up lantern.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so there's a bunch of miniature pop-up lanterns.
Show how compact that is. That's pretty cool.
Very compact.
Yeah.
What was it you were saying about that earlier? It's the only thing.
It's the only as seen on TV thing that I would recommend. And then I have some hand warmers in case your hands get cold, or you can put them in your shoes and your jackets. Also have a collapsible water bottle. So it collapses down to this, and then you can pull it out into.
It has a top on it. Yeah, I like that.
It has a top on it. It has a mouthpiece. And then I also have some soap. This is camp soap. It's biodegradable, so you can use it out in the woods, and it doesn't hurt the environment. So soap is always a good thing to have in case you get dirty or something like that. And then I also have some hand sanitizer, same sort of thing, keep your hands clean. Then I have a phone charger and also a battery pack in case you need to charge your phone or charge anything else. And then last but not least, I have a folder, and this is just, you would want to take important documents with you, like birth certificates, anything if you're taking a pet, and you want to take shot records or something like that. And then passports too. And also I have my wallet in here with my driver's license and any extra money, any other documents or papers that you might need. And that's about it.
Yeah, cell phone. But most of us carry our cell phone anyway, so it's kind of a given, right? So let me just address this for a second here, because you may be thinking, well, I know that I am going to my mother's house, and I know I'm going straight there. I am not going to need a fire starter. But that might not be the case, right? Because if you are evacuating from someplace, who is to say how long it's going to take you to get there? I mean, there's been reports of people dying on the highway because they have either sunstroke or they are dehydrated or whatever the case may be. So even though this looks like a very Boy Scout camping type of bag, it's really something that you should have with you, at least in your car, so that no matter where you are, you can get warm, you can eat. Clearly, one bar, he's on the weight loss program here, but the thing is that have something to eat, and then you have a way to get water, you have a way to get warmth, you have a way to get light. So even though or you think that you're going straight to somebody's house or straight to a shelter, you still really want to have these things with you because you may not make it, at least in a timely manner. So I just want to stress that, because I know there's a lot of people out there going, yeah, but I'm not going to need bug spray because I'm just going to be in the car the whole time. But that really might not be the case, and you really do need to protect yourself. So that is something that I wanted to address, because like I said, I would probably have been, when I was younger, one of those people saying, I don't need all that. But if you think about the situation and what could happen, then you start realizing, oh, well, maybe I do need to, just in case, have all of those things with me. Okay, so those are pretty much the basics. So if you wanted to have an ultimate bag, can you talk a little bit about maybe some shelter? What would you put in your bag for shelter?
For shelter, you could put in a tarp that with the combination of a tarp and some rope, you can build like an A-frame for shelter. If you can find some sticks in the woods or something like that. If you want to carry a backpacking tent, you can also carry that. They have these little one-man tents. You can't really sit up on them, but they're packed down really small, and they'd probably fit in here.
And then I was going to say tools, but could you show us just maybe 2 or 3 tools from that thing? There's a lot of tools here.
I have like 20 on here.
Yeah.
Show
us the saw. That's a pretty cool one.
Pliers here. And this is a Swiss Army multi-tool. And then I have here's the saw.
So that's a pretty good little saw.
I actually have two saws on here. I have a curved one too.
That figures. That does figure.
I have a curved one. I'm not entirely sure what you'd use this one for, but
but you have it.
But I have it, yes. And then there's a pair of scissors on here too. And then screwdrivers, can opener, bottle opener.
So a few other things that you may want to have if you were in a hiking situation or where you were out in the wilderness would be a whistle, some binoculars, a flare. And we talked about cell phones, but maybe a handheld radio, ham radio. Joshua just happens to have his ham license, so he does have one of those. He doesn't always carry it, just depends on where he's going. And then you also want to think about, like I said, this would be the weight loss program. But if you were going to be out in the wilderness for a while, you would want to think about fishing hooks and, other ways to forage and things like that to get food.
You can also get like backpacking dehydrated or freeze-dried meals. You can get them on REI, and then so those would be a lot more filling than just a Cliff Bar.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about two things. First of all, where Joshua gets his really, really cool gadgets. There's like 3 of them that are just like super cool.
This one.
Yes, there's a lot of them. So Joshua, and like I said, this is something that he just loves doing. So where do you get all of these cool gadgets?
I get them all from the Karen box, and so it's a subscription box. It's a monthly subscription box, and so what they'll do is they'll send you a box full of just little gadgets like this: flashlights, water bottles, power, battery packs, flint and steel. I've gotten I got a backpack in one once. I got a water bladder. I got several water bottles. I got several mugs for the winter. I got sunglasses in one time. I got several little gadgets to help tie down your tents.
Yeah, so if you know of somebody who is the Boy Scout type and would like to have that come to their house every month, then you could definitely check that out. But that is a good thing because he checks things out, and when he finds something that is super cool, then we will buy more for other people in our family, our other boys, and their bags too. So, but I wanted to share that with you. Then I also want to entice you to not only prepare for the natural disasters that are threatening the U.S. on sort of both sides, but also to think about what could threaten you in terms of the future. What natural disasters is your area prone to, and to think about that and to maybe take some steps to go ahead and prepare for those. And it just so happens that we are hosting a summit. It's called the Back to Basics Summit, and Back to Basics Living Summit, and that is what we are focusing on. We are focusing on getting back to basics so you can be more self-reliant. And if you are just interested in preparedness, we have much more than just preparedness, but I wanted to share with you 5 different presentations that are just going to cover things that would be specifically for preparedness. You could broaden them a little bit, but still, they would help you get started if you feel like you're not as prepared as you'd like to be. The first one is a practical guide to using Mylar bags for your long-term storage. That is a presentation that's going to be given by Angela Pasquet, and she is an expert. She's written a book on this very subject, and so that is one that is really going to help when you are storing your food. Physical fitness and self-defense for preparedness by Sarah Hathaway, and this is an interview that I actually did with Sarah, and we go into some really details about how women specifically can defend themselves on any level, at any time. And she even talks about, people that are disabled in a wheelchair defending themselves. So it's definitely something that you need to see. In my opinion, every woman should have that knowledge. The third one, Secret Garden of Survival by Rick Austin. And he is going to tell you about how to garden in a way that's not obvious, because when things do get a little rocky and people start panicking, if you have a huge garden and it's time to harvest your tomatoes and people see these beautiful red tomatoes, they're just going to come in droves and take them. So he has a solution to that, and that is a great presentation that he is going to give for that. And then we also have Dr. Patrick Jones, and he's going to talk about making herbal medicine. Obviously, if there's a disruption in the supply chain, then you're going to want to be able to make natural remedies, and you're going to want to do everything you can at your disposal. And if you have a garden, you have herbs, know how to use them so that you don't have family members or yourself suffering from whatever it is that might be wrong. And then we have Getting Started with a Solar Generator by my husband, Bill, and he's going to be presenting that. And that is another great thing to just know about, get some information about, that you can start figuring that out if you do or if you are threatened in some way by a natural disaster. Then you will have backup power, can't talk today, power, and that that even if you can't get gas or the grid goes down, you will have power. So those are 5 just on preparedness. We actually have over 30 presentations, so I highly recommend the summit. We are hosting it. We handpicked all of these presenters. They are wonderful. They are experts in their field. If you are interested in signing up, it is completely free. You can go to selfreliantschool.com/summit and sign up. Like I said, it's completely free. It's going to start on Sunday, which is September the 10th, and it'll go through the 16th. And then we, at the end, will have an encore of all of the most popular presentations. If that is something that is too fast paced for you, and you want to have and own these presentations, there is an option for that as well. But we are making it as accessible as we can by having it free for that 1 week. And so I certainly hope that you will join us. Again, the link is selfreliantschool.com/summit. Okay, so I hope that everybody out there who is in harm's way stay safe. And did you have a question? There's a question.
Tracy was asking if Josh made the handle for your cup.
He did. He made the handle for my cup. Yes, and you can go to selfreliantschool.com, and we have a place where you can purchase these. I'll have Bill put that in the comments so that you can go straight there. He also makes these little pouches here.
For the Altoids tins.
Yes, for the Altoids tins, right. They fit. And he makes bracelets, wearable.
Also make pouches for knives.
Yes. So, yeah, a good plug for him, because he makes some beautiful things, some jewelry too. Show off. Can you do it without your messing up your mic there? He's made all of his jewelry. And so, so he is talented with paracord, so definitely check that out if you're interested. And like I said, if you are in the path of storm, fire, anything that is a natural disaster, please stay safe. And if people are telling you to evacuate, please evacuate. You have a short list. Maybe even gather some of those things. If you are, you think you even might need them, go and gather them, and you'll have that bag just ready to walk out if you need to, because you can replace everything in your house, but you cannot replace your life. So with that, remember that being self-reliant is not about being selfish. It's not just about focusing on you. It's about taking care of yourself so you can take care of the ones you love and your community, like Texans have done in Houston. Take care until we talk again. I'm so glad you could join me today. Here's what to do next. Head over to selfreliantlife.tv to pick up the show notes for this episode and to watch replays of older episodes. To go directly to the show notes for this episode, go to selfreliantlife.tv and then without a space, type a slash and then the number of today's episode. You can watch this show live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live on Facebook or the Periscope app. Don't forget to stop by selfreliantschool.com/free to get your free Self-Reliant School videos that will help you get started living a self-reliant life. Also, if you're listening to this show as a podcast and you've liked what you've heard today, please subscribe through Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast app. If you're on a mobile device, just search for the Self-Reliant Living Show. If you're on a laptop or desktop, just go to selfreliantlife.tv/iTunes. And while you're there, please leave a review. I love to hear from you. You leaving feedback makes it easier for others that are interested in living a self-reliant life to find my podcast. Take care until we talk again.